My name is Daniel, and this is the story of the one love I almost lost, because I never had the courage to speak soon enough. It begins 3 years ago, on a gray November morning, when the world felt heavier than usual. I was standing in line at my favorite coffee shop, half awake, scrolling through emails I didn't want to answer, when she walked in. Emma. At that moment, she was just a stranger in a red scarf, brushing snow off her shoulders as she stepped inside. But even now, I can still remember how she looked. Her hair tangled from the wind, cheeks flushed from the cold, and a smile that appeared before she said anything. A smile that warmed the whole room. She was looking for a place to sit, balancing a laptop in one hand and a cup in the other. Every table was taken, except for the seat across from me. She caught my eye. I nodded, and she walked over. "Do you mind?" she asked. I shook my head, probably a little too quickly. That was the first time I heard her laugh. And God, I didn't know how important that sound would become to me. We talked for hours. First about small things, coffee, the weather, the terrible music they were playing in the cafe that morning. But soon the conversation turned deeper. Our dreams, our fears, the kind of people we wanted to become. She told me she was a photographer. I told her I was a graphic designer who secretly wanted to write. She said, "Why secretly?" I didn't have an answer. When she left that day, she didn't give me her number. She only said, "Maybe I'll see you here again." Maybe, but for the first time in a long time. I hoped, and we did see each other again. Once, twice, then almost every day, sometimes on purpose, sometimes accidentally, sometimes accidentally on purpose, as she later admitted. We became friends, good friends. The kind who send each other photos of clouds that look like animals, or voice notes at 2 a.m. saying things like, "I can't sleep. Tell me a story." And I did, every time. But with every story I told her, a new one was forming in my own heart. A love story. My love story. The one I was terrified to say out loud. You see, Emma wasn't just warm and funny and kind. She was luminous. The kind of person who made you want to be better. Being around her felt like standing in sunlight after months of rain. But I told myself it was safer to stay quiet. Safer to be her friend, her storyteller, her Daniel who's always there. I convinced myself she didn't feel the same. So I buried the truth. And I thought that was enough. I was wrong. It was early spring when everything changed. She invited me to join her on a short trip to the coast. "Nothing special," she said. "Just two friends, a weekend escape, a chance to breathe." But that weekend, I realized I didn't want to be just a friend anymore. We walked along the cliffs at sunset. The sky was a mosaic of orange and purple, and the wind smelled of salt and something sweet I couldn't name. She took a photo of me, laughing at something she said. And then she looked at the picture for a long time. "You know," she said softly, "you look happiest when you're here." "Here at the ocean?" I asked. "No," she said, "here with me." My heart stopped, but before I could say anything, the moment passed. She turned away, and I was a coward. That night, I wrote a letter. A confession. I told her everything. How meeting her felt like stepping into color after years of gray. How I memorized the sound of her laugh. How she made me believe in things again. I wrote until sunrise. And then, I didn't give it to her. I folded it, put it in my bag, and pretended nothing happened. We returned from the trip. Life continued, but something between us began to shift. We were still close, but there were pauses now. Silences that felt like they were full of all the words I wasn't saying. And all the words she wasn't saying either. Summer arrived, and with it, distance. Emma became busy with new projects, new clients, new travels. She was everywhere and nowhere, sending pictures from places she knew I'd love. Forests made of light, beaches painted gold during sunrise, bridges glowing at night. I always replied, but the conversations grew shorter. One day she said she had something important to tell me, something she wanted to talk about in person. She said she'd come by the cafe at 6 p.m. I arrived early. She didn't arrive at all. Later, she texted, "Sorry, something came up. Can we talk another time?" 2 days later, I found out what came up. She posted a photo, a man's hand holding hers. Just the hands, nothing else. But it was enough. I stared at that photo for a long time, trying to breathe normally. Maybe I had waited too long. Maybe I deserved it. I took the letter from my drawer, still untouched, still filled with truths I never had the courage to speak, and I almost tore it apart. But I didn't. I put it back. I didn't know why. Months passed. We still talked sometimes, but she seemed far away. Not colder, not indifferent, just farther, like a lighthouse whose light you can still see but can't reach anymore. Then one afternoon, she asked if we could meet. When I walked into the cafe, she was sitting in our usual spot, wearing that same red scarf from the very first day. She looked different, though. Tired, fragile. We talked about small things at first. Work, weather, life. Then she said quietly, "Daniel, I'm moving." I felt the world shift under my feet. "For how long?" I asked. She looked down. "I don't know. Maybe a year. Maybe longer. I got an offer I can't turn down. A big photography project abroad." I tried to smile, tried to be supportive, tried to pretend my chest wasn't tightening. "When do you leave?" I asked. "Next week." I nodded. She tried to smile back, but it didn't reach her eyes. There was a long silence. And then she whispered, "I wish you'd told me something, Daniel. Something I always thought you wanted to say." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" I asked, too softly. She shook her head and stood up. "It doesn't matter now. I hope you'll be happy." She hugged me. It was warm and painful, like holding a memory that was already fading. Then she left. I didn't follow her. I should have. A week later, she was gone. The cafe felt emptier. The city felt colder. My life felt quieter. And then one evening, while cleaning my desk, I found it again, the letter. The one I never gave her. I read it slowly, painfully, realizing that every word was still true. I sat there for a long time, wondering what would have happened if I had just told her sooner. If I had taken one step instead of retreating. If love was lost, or just misplaced. Finally, I put the letter in an envelope. I didn't know where she lived now. I didn't know if she'd ever read it. But I knew I had to send it. Because some words deserve to exist. Even when we're late. Even when we're scared. Especially then. 2 months passed. No reply. I convinced myself she had moved on. That she had tossed the letter in a drawer or maybe never received it at all. But then, one evening, while I was walking home through the first snowfall of the year, my phone buzzed. It was a video message. From Emma. I opened it. She was standing on a balcony somewhere warm, the sunset behind her painting her hair gold. Her eyes, they were full of something I hadn't seen in a long time. She held up the letter. "Your letter found me. I've read it every night for a week. And Daniel, I need you to know something." She paused, breathing shakily. I waited, frozen in the snow. "I thought you didn't love me. That's why I stopped trying." That's why I left. Another pause. But if everything you wrote here is true, then I need you to listen very carefully. I never wanted to walk away from you. I wanted you to stop me. My heart was pounding. She smiled gently. I'm coming back next month. If you still feel the same, meet me at the place we first met. Same time, same table, same red scarf. And the video ended. I was there early. Of course I was. The cafe was warm, the world outside glowing with winter lights. I kept rereading her message, trying to calm the storm inside my chest. Minutes passed. Then the door opened, and there she was. Red scarf, snow in her hair, and that smile. The same one that changed everything 3 years ago. She walked toward me, slowly, carefully, hopefully. When she reached the table, I didn't say anything at first. I just took her hands. I'm sorry I was late, I whispered. She shook her head. You're here now. That's all that matters. And I finally told her everything, without fear, without hesitation, without hiding. She listened. Then she leaned forward and said, Daniel, I've loved you for a very long time. And when she kissed me, it felt like every moment we'd ever missed finally fell into place. People think love stories are all about perfect timing. But sometimes, timing is messy. Sometimes we're scared. Sometimes we wait too long. Yet somehow, love finds its way. My name is Daniel, and this time, I didn't let her walk away.